These are just sketches around the final season, really. And it's just taking elements from her father, from Jon Snow, but it's streamlined. It has the split skirts, which enable her to run around, move, fight, whatever she needs to do. It's a slightly padded doublet, which gives her a sense of protection, but then her fighting isn't about being armoured, it is about quickness. When I start thinking about costumes for the particular episodes, I start by drawing. I always draw my own drawings. And particularly with the bells, I wanted to go back to King's Landing when I first started. And so I went back to some sketches that I did then, because to me it was really important to actually look at what these people should have worn, and then actually show how their life has changed. And here we see Cersei is in child, which is really important for her. So I was really keen to have the studding and the protection as a decoration to be over her belly. And then I wanted also this long, long chain with a disc with the Lannister line on the belly, again protecting it and signifying that this is the future. And then it was really interesting, we did a red version, a black version, and then an ombre where the red is like creeping up the dress. There's a play between her being in mourning, but also having the strength of her house colour. Daenerys, her final costume went through quite a long, intense period of trial and error. And slowly as we developed this, we then started moving into the black and red, which is where we ended up going much more clearly. But again, she still keeps her trousers and her boots underneath. And then obviously the chain of office and the cape, which gives us a sense of movement. And I think we worked on this over a period of sort of 3 or 4 months. I had to think of the Golden Company, which were a group of mercenaries that came together. So I wanted them to look like a group, but actually when you look at them individually, there are elements that are particular to that man. So you see there's these gold over trousers, and they're all again slightly different, but they all have exactly the same silhouette. And the boots are very important. Some are old and some are new, depending on when they've joined. And then each armour is gold in colour, but actually again there are individual details. And then we have this gold cloth tied to the helmet so that when they're riding, they see the cloth and it gives movement. And I think we had in the end about sort of 8 or 9 styles. You look at them and you think they're all the same, but when you look at them, they're not. They're a group that have come together. For everyone, not just costume, I thought the bells was pretty exceptional. It was enormously difficult to shoot over a long period of time, and it was just managing it and working with the other departments. You had to work really closely with stunts, with makeup, with prosthetics. At its height, particularly on that episode, you're running at probably 100 plus people. I wanted to take almost all the colour out of King's Landing. It's lost its way, it's lost its personality. When we first went there, it was a thriving city, and then we go there and it's almost people in rags, and I guess it's to represent that they're almost unimportant. They become nothing, they become unseen, so much so that these people who are in charge can ignore the fact that all these people are going to die. Distressing and aging costumes, I mean, it's such an art in itself. You make a costume that's new, and then you have to look at it and look at the character or the extra or whatever and think, what's happened to this person? So we'd start by sort of fading it with the sun, and then you'd probably start washing it because that breaks the costume down a bit more quickly. We'll do a lot of hand stitching and repairing on some because that again gives it a character. And then we look at the particular moment in the story that something's happened to it. So if it's burnt, we'll work out ways that we can singe or grease into it to give it more life. We usually have 12 weeks of prep before we start filming. And then once we start filming, we'll still continue to prep for the episodes as we move through. It's the organisation of that's so key. So, a great supervisor and a great team who are just constantly monitoring what's coming up, but also watching the script changes as well, because you have script changes all the time. But on something of that scale, you may make 100 costumes or something that then you don't need. We became like a family over 8 years, and the same people came back year after year, and so we knew where we were going, we knew everyone's ability, and we all grew so much within the show. I think we all feel like we can do almost anything now, so nothing is too big because you understand the process.